Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Business Innovators Radio. I am your host, Ralph Brogdon, and I have with me today an expert in the art of how to become a powerful influencer in your marketplace by arranging your branding, your image, and your marketing and messaging into a powerful communication tool to grow your business. I'm here with Heather Poduska. She is a star maker who teaches ambitious entrepreneurs how to become powerful influencers and profitable speakers. She has over 25 years of professional performance experience on stage as an operatic soprano, as a national speaker, and as the host of her own popular television and podcast show, Thrive. So, Heather, welcome to Business Innovators Radio.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Now, you are able, because of your expertise in personal branding and image consulting as a marketing and communications expert, you're able to teach your clients how to step into the spotlight with confidence, charisma, and style to turn their heads and convert sales. Everybody needs to know this, but very few people actually know how to pull all of that together. So I'm just curious, how did you get started doing this? What got you interested in this type of work?
Well, as you said, my background is actually as an operatic soprano, and I trained my whole life to do that, and threw my heart, soul, treasure, and body into that pursuit. And my dream was to be at the Metropolitan Opera, and I was very, gifted, as a lot of musically gifted kids are when they're growing up, and I did all of the things that you need to do to perform and refine your craft. And eventually I found myself at the New England Conservatory, and I grew up in a small town in northern Wisconsin, and I was always a big fish in a little pond. And when I got to the conservatory, I found myself to be a little fish in an ocean of the best fish slash things from around the world, and the competition was fierce because everybody wanted to be at the Metropolitan Opera. You don't go to the conservatory because you want to sing in church on Sundays. People really want the big career. And the more I wanted it, the harder I worked, the more tension I developed in my body. And even though when I would sing for my coaches and conductors and teachers, they always encouraged me. I wasn't delusional about the instrument that I had or the talent that I had. So they would encourage me to keep going, keep trying. But the more I tried and the harder I worked, the more tense I got, and it started to really impact my technique. And I wasn't able to sing the way I needed to really have those breakthrough moments. And even though I was auditioning and working really hard, I was sort of spinning my wheels, and other people that I was in the conservatory with were going on to do things like, sing for Santa Fe Opera or go to City Opera or have the young artist program at the Metropolitan Opera, and I was starting to just get very, very frustrated. But because I worked hard, very hard, and I got some things, and eventually I found myself in the professional chorus for the Boston Lyric Opera, and I remember sitting on the stage for a production of The Magic Flute, and I was in the chorus, and I was on stage. The orchestra was playing. The Schubert Theater was filled with like 1,500 people. But I had my back to the audience the way the director had arranged us. So I was facing upstage, and smack in front of me was the lead soprano. And she was singing over the top of my head. Just at this moment of like, what am I doing here? It was really my come to Jesus moment of, I went for my dream. I really, really went for it. I didn't go half-baked. I went all in, and I failed. And I just remember sitting here thinking, this is utter torture. I'm sitting here with my back to the audience, watching someone else live my dream. And I knew that was my moment to reevaluate my life, and I really didn't know what else I was going to do because I'd been a singer my entire life. So I did a bunch of assessments, and went to a career counselor. We came up with image consulting because I'd always been good at that part of it. I'd always helped other singers with their look, and we did a collaboration with the St. Petersburg Opera in Russia, and I remember doing all the sopranos' hair for the show. So I got certified as an image consultant from the London Image Institute, and I started doing that. But there was something else that was pulling me, and I really don't even know how I knew that. But I went back to the career counselor, and I said, I think I want to be in business. I think I can help people in business. And she looked at me, and she said, Heather, you don't have any business experience. And it was true. When I tell you I didn't have anything, I didn't even know what Gmail was. It was not pretty. But I still really had this, this inner knowing that this was something that I wanted to do. And so when we explored a little bit further, I found out about personal branding. And it was really like the heavens opened up and God called down, Heather, this is your calling. Because everything about branding is an exact metaphor for singing. It's helping people find their voice, project their unique sound, refine their voice, dress the part they're trying to play, engage with their audience, build their audience, and show up like a star. And that star piece is the last piece that I've sort of incorporated over time, because you can have, like you were saying, we were chatting before, you can have a marketing machine behind you, but if you don't have the clear message, you're wasting your time because you're not focused in your energy. But you can still have your message together, you can have your marketing machine together, but if you look like a hot mess, you're not going to command the value that you have, right? You're not going to command the fees. You're not going to be seen as a superstar. And then there's the performance piece, because I'm a really big believer that leaders speak and speakers lead. When you have this podcast, you have this show, this radio show, you're getting your voice out there, you're leading because you're being visible. So one of my catchphrases is you don't get paid to sing in the shower unless you're really comfortable and naked. So you've got to get your voice out there. So all of those things together, and like all of us in the way that I work with my clients too, is to find that unique cocktail of their experience and talent. And for me, that's what my unique experience and talent has come to for me, because I've had this 30-year career on the stage and the spotlight, but then my own journey of really struggling to find my voice, and finding my voice through my work, not on the stage, but through my work, and then the image consulting really coming all together. So that's how I landed where I am, and I really believe in it. I find that people who can combine all of those things really develop an it factor that sets them apart. And when you have that, you feel more confident, you feel more in the zone, you feel more yourself. And just a side thing is when I started really living my truth of my voice, of why I'm here to serve, because I spent my whole life trying to find my voice. I understand what that feels like when you don't have access to it. It's very painful. It doesn't matter if you're singing an aria on a stage with the orchestra or you're trying to build your business. When you have your voice, you have everything you need to succeed. And so my job is to help people find their voice, but then because of my unique expertise, it's also my job to help them refine it so that it's polished and authentic and that they feel confident being visible in the spotlight. And now, since I did that, the kind of icing on the cake is that my body's relaxed a lot more. I'm physically more comfortable, so now I sing way better than I used to sing. So
awesome.
Full circle.
Well, I like that. And I think so many entrepreneurs, they struggle in this area because they struggle with their marketing. It doesn't feel authentic to them. And they don't really have a clear message, and they don't really know who they are. And so a lot of people, they just kind of copy and do what they see other people doing. And so you're able to help them find their authentic voice and refine it so that they can increase their circle of influence, as Covey would say. But I'm curious, what's the most common problem you see with helping business people, entrepreneurs, to find and refine their real voice, their business voice, and tapping into their expertise?
Well, I think you just nailed it on the head. People don't know what their voice is, and I would say one of the most common things that I see is, especially for people who've been around the sun a few times, you've had lots of different experiences, life experiences, business experiences. It's how to bring all that together. How do you bring it all together in one clear channel? And if you haven't done a lot of this work, sometimes it can feel really foreign. But just a piece of advice and a tip for people out there when they're going down this path and they're trying, and I don't always think that copying is the worst thing, because by doing that, at least you're understanding the process and you can start to see, okay, if I do this like this person, does this feel in alignment with me or does it not? Where doesn't it feel in alignment? Where does it? And then you can start to have some sense of yourself through that process. But really, it goes back to your story of where you came from. I mean, it's just the most basic things. Just the most basic things, right? I mean, my story starts in church in a small town in northern Wisconsin. It's the story. And when you can, and I think a lot of people, they want to jump into the marketing because that's, I don't want to say it's easy because it takes effort, but it's it's easy in the sense that it's superficial. That's the outer piece. And the piece that people miss is the inner piece.
And
So,
would you agree that people are really wanting to connect to that enter into that inner authenticity and not just the superficial, okay, what have you got to sell? But they really want to connect with the brand. Is that your experience?
absolutely. I think it's a double-edged sword, though, because one of the things that I have happened to me a lot is I'll be working with someone and they'll say, "Oh my God, Heather, you're so brilliant. How did you think of that?" And I always say, "I didn't think of it. You just told me. You just told me." But I find people need a witness. I will go to church again, right? People need a witness. They need someone to hear their story and to pull it out of them. Because if we could do it on our own, all the marketers and brand strategists out there would be out of work.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that led me to the next question here is how would working with someone like you greatly improve their chances for success as opposed to, okay, just give me some tips and I'll figure it out. And it sounds like that you help them discover what's there, what's latent within them and bring that out. And that's really difficult to do on your own, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. There are I don't know about you, but there are a lot of people living in my head. There are a lot of voices up there, and sometimes trying to hear your voice. I mean, I always say trying to brand yourself is like trying to cut your own hair. It's hard. It's really hard. And anytime that, you need the space, you need the time, the space, the thought process to go through it. And people don't always, we're busy people. We have jobs, some of us, families, commitments, and distractions. Lordy Lord, let's talk about the distractions we have in our lives. But when you get that clear point of view, what you believe, why you're here, why you feel like you're here. I mean, one of the things I always talk about is what your superpower is. Since we're talking about branding, one of my superpowers, I always say, like, in the movie The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis saw dead people, right? Or the kids that I saw, I see dead people. And I see people's potential. It's just my superpower. I can help somebody go in and see how those pieces fit together and optimize it for them. But everybody has that. Everybody has their superpower. But it takes time to go in and really identify that, because what happens is we want to get ahead in the marketing. We want to get it out there. We want to get the message out there. We want to start getting clients. And that's, into the deeper you go, the more powerful you're going to be. It's just the way it is. And it takes time, it takes commitment to do that.
So it sounds like that you really help people to dial that message in. And I'm just curious, if someone who's listening to this right now, what do you think is something that maybe they could do to start seeing an immediate improvement in this area of kind of bringing it all together, and maybe something that you would suggest as a first step before they even get to you to work with you one-on-one, what is maybe one of the first things they should begin doing right now?
Well, I would say to really think about what they want, because I'm a big believer that you shouldn't ignore your desires. I think people think that if they have a desire and they can't figure out the how, that they push it away from themselves. But even if you don't have the how yet, that desire is trying to tell you something. It's very, very powerful. So just getting clarity is cash. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down. Clarity is cash.
Clarity is cash. And if you can understand what you really, really want, that's the first step. Because that desire is pointing to something that is trying to express itself through you. And then your talent, your expertise, all of those things can help you channel that desire out into the outer world. And then the other thing I would say is just pick a lane. Pick a lane and stay there and see what happens. Because I think people don't ride the pony long enough to see the results. And by picking a lane, you start to create stickiness around your brand. People start to recognize you for that thing. And we want to be everything to everybody, and that just makes you like everybody else. It doesn't distinguish you.
Yeah. If you try to, I've heard it said that if you try to be everything to everybody, you will end up being nothing to anyone.
That's right.
You got actually something that's pretty cool coming up called a Stage Read Masterclass. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, actually, Stage Ready Masterclass.
Stage Ready.
Yes. So, what that is an opportunity for people to come together who want to be confident, dynamic, and profitable speakers, whether they're speaking online or on the stage. But since I think there's a lot of power in live experiences, I do it in a theater. So the people come together, they refine their signature talk, they work on their signature talk, and then I get them up on stage. And it's a small group experience so that like 10 people and everybody in the room, 10 to 15 people, everybody in the room is there for the same reason. Mm-hmm. And it's supportive, it's fun, but it's also a little bit of pressure. So it's a chance to practice and get refinement and confidence and real feedback in a safe environment. Because, I'm coaching, so I'm standing there coaching on performance and the sales and the brand, all of those things. But you're getting feedback from your colleagues. And, Ralph, no one is going to tell you when you go speak at a chamber event why they didn't buy from you. Right? They're not going to walk up to you and say, if you had just said this, or if you hadn't been so fidgety, or if you had done this in your clothes, I definitely would have bought. People don't say that. So it's a unique experience and a unique chance to get feedback you wouldn't normally get. So it's great. And people, what I love about it as well is if you're introverted, again, speakers lead and leaders speak. And Hillary Clinton is an introvert, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to be the life of the party, but getting clear on your zone of genius and your power to watch introverts go through this process is amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I think that's a big objection that a lot of people have, that introverts have anyway, that's just not who I am. But you make a good point that, I guess these skills are learnable. You can learn to project yourself and to get your voice out there to people and communicate your message. Johnny Carson was an introvert and very successful at finding his superpower and really tapping into it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I'm not an introvert. I don't know if you can tell. But introversion isn't, it's not about being shy. It's about how you re-energize. Mm-hmm. And a lot of introverts get panicked about going to networking events because they have to expend a lot of energy talking to a lot of different people within a short amount of time. But when you're speaking to a group. You're speaking to one entity. So you're giving your talk once. You're the authority already because you're in front of the room. It's something you've rehearsed, so you're not having to make small chit-chat. You're standing there as the authority. So it's kind of custom made if you think about it for introverts, because you don't have to be the life of the party to everybody. You just have to stand there and do your thing. So.
Awesome. Well, I love that. So if our listeners want to find out more about Stage Ready Masterclasses as well as your coaching and consulting services, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Then just go to my website. It's heatherpoduska.com. It's Heather and then Poduska, Poduska. And if they go to my programs page, all the information is there.
Awesome. So this has really been insightful and I think encouraging for people maybe that aren't getting the marketing, the results that they want. Maybe it's not the marketing. Maybe it's the messaging. Maybe you just need to fine-tune that message and become more authentic. So this has been really good. Are there any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you could share with our listeners as we close?
Well, I think the thing I was saying before, we only go around so many times, and I guess maybe I'm showing my age, but why not light yourself up? We're here to serve, and if you can tap into that desire to serve, that's the most fulfilling thing. And if you can connect your business to your heart and to a mindset of contribution, no matter what you do, you're going to feel fulfilled. So I think that's what it's all about. So I just want to leave people with that thought.
Wonderful. Heather Poduska, personal brand strategist, image consultant, marketing expert. Thank you so much for taking your time to spend with us here on Business Innovators Radio. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.